Hey guys, welcome to Muskie Road Rules Podcast and Patreon. Guys, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for becoming a member of the Patreon. If you guys remember last week, I told you that I had Jeff Schulte on, the maker of Bomb Squad Baits. And this is what we're doing. By December 1st, if you subscribe to the Patreon, old members, starting from yesterday's date and before, will be into a drawing. And then all the ones that subscribed through December 1st, right now, if you're listening to this podcast, we'll go on a drawing and you'll get one of his new double flaps. Really, really cool sounding baits. No one has them yet. So it's kind of a brand new deal, and you could be one of the first persons to get one before Christmas. So make sure you go to patreon.com, search Muskie, and you'll see it there. Become a member. All you have to do is become a member. $8 a month, guys. You can cancel anytime. So that's it. You can just sign up for this one and then cancel December 1st. And you know what? I can't do nothing about it. So, but if you want to get in that, but we're going to do more drawings. So maybe it's something you don't want to cancel in the future. So just getting the drawing stuff going right now. And I think it's going to be something you guys are really, really going to like. It's late October, November, not October. And I'm starting to finish up my season. I only got about 5 or 6 more days left. Water temp now, depending on where you're at in my area, which is in the western Minnesota area, is anywhere from 40, 41 degrees to today we were fishing. It was 38. We're warming up for the next couple of weeks or the next couple of days and then cooling right back down again. But I think somebody, if you wanted to, could actually fish well past Thanksgiving by the temperatures. I don't see any major freezing or anything like that. We did have a super cold weekend last weekend that dropped us about 5 or 6 degrees. So, but yeah, tonight on the podcast got somebody new. I've got Mr. Brad Wirt. Bring Brad up here from over in the central Wisconsin area. Brad's mainly a river guy. Brad, how you doing?
I'm doing good, man. Thanks for having me on.
Hey, no problem. No problem. Let's talk about it. You're fishing a lot of rivers and stuff, smaller rivers. What got you into, one, muskie fishing, and 2, that kind of fishing?
I was born and raised right here, just south of Merrill, where I live now, in a small town in Brokaw, actually. And we started, fishing everything. We started with walleyes, suckers, bass, anything we could catch. My older brother actually got me into muskie fishing. God, I must have been 12 years old or 11 years old at the time. And we'd float the river from Merrill down to Brokaw, and, that's what we did in the summer times. A couple of trips up north, but we spent most of our time either waiting or floating a little 12-foot boat that my dad got us. So.
Well, cool. Now your section of river, how big is it for people that may not know?
So like that one section that I primarily guide on, I bounce around all over from here all the way up to Rylander. I do the flowages in between, but that section of river from Merrill down to Brokaw, it's right around 14 miles. Average width of it, it's, it's a couple hundred yards, and it necks down in some spots. All skinny water. It's all jet boat country. So,
yeah. So, the thing is it is, jet boat is something that you see a lot in the South, like Kentucky, where I'm from, or even like West Virginia, Tennessee, Virginia. A lot of guys running jets. Do you see much jet stuff up in Wisconsin?
It's getting more and more popular. I've been running jets for a lot of years. You're starting to see a little more guys that are buying them, and getting out on the river and stuff. Not a ton, when I think of a busy day on that stretch of river, you're 5-6 boats. So you got 14 miles of water. I mean, so it's not heavily pressured. And when the water really starts dropping, you see those guys disappear because there's spots where I'm running 4 inches of water, just bouncing through some stuff. So it's pretty protected,
Yeah. What kind of jet are you running? What kind of boat you got?
I'm running. I've had small tiller jets before. This is my second 1860 G3 center console jet.
Yeah. Is that got a 115 on it?
Yeah, 115/80 at the pump.
Okay.
Great boat. I've had this one since 2019, over 1,000 or so.
I know a few guys that have that boat, and they really, really like it. I'm assuming center console and that.
Yep. Yeah. You can go crazy on some of these jets. I mean, you can River Raptors and stuff like that. I looked at a lot of those boats, but I've never really wanted to dump $60,000-$70,000 on a jet boat, to be up and down the river with. So.
Yeah, I mean, most guys that run jets, I mean, the reason you're running it is because you're beating the shit out of it,
right?
And you're hitting, you're bumping stuff, and you're hitting rocks and sandbars and stuff like that. So you got to have something, And I know I've looked for jet boats. I almost bought one last year, but it got sold before I got there. Jets are one of those things that I never wanted to put a lot of money into, and the problem is they're hard to find one that's not a lot of money.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Either you're going to buy, if you're going to get a jet, you're going to either come down by your area and maybe pick up a used one, or you're going to buy brand new up here. And a lot of the guys don't want to, they got another boat already that they're fishing lakes out of, and they don't want to dump another, $25,000-$30,000 in another jet boat,
No, and that's the thing that I found. I was trying to find anything for under 10 grand, and it's hard to do that.
Oh yeah, it's almost impossible.
Yeah, I was shocked. I mean, the money that these guys are wanting for these jet boats that I know. I mean, I'll beat the shit out of it. I know what I'll.
Yep.
And I just don't want to be that guy. Kind of take us through how was your season this year? When do you usually? I mean, do you fish start muskies right off the bat, or how does that work for you?
Yeah, Memorial Weekend is our opener here in Wisconsin, on northern part of Wisconsin. So I start out right off the bat, and actually I'm still running. I got 3 more trips yet, and I'm shutting her down. But I had a good season this year. It was actually a lot of fish, a lot of nice fish. My June was really good. A lot of topwater, a lot of bucktail fish. September, my July was so, and that always kind of hit and miss. Sometimes it all depends. And I kind of back off a little bit from guiding on that time. I got anniversary, my wife's birthday, so I kind of take it a little easy. So
gotcha.
But I'm still rolling, and last weekend, what do we have? Friday we had 3. Saturday we had 2, nice fish, and then we switched on Saturday. We switched back over and we went walleye fishing. Actually caught those 2. So
how? So your fish there. I mean, what's your water temp right now?
I'm right when I left on Saturday because I was supposed to guide him on Sunday too. It dropped down cold, so we decided I'm getting too old to sit out there when it's that cold. And we had a north wind, and that really sucks on that section of river when you get a heavy north wind. But I was right around 40, 41 when I left on Saturday afternoon. So
yeah, so you're about the same as what we are over here. The bigger lakes are right around 40, 41. I had 142 yesterday, and then today I didn't even see 40 degrees. It was anywhere from 37 to 38 degree water. Most of the lake was. So it's, but we're supposed to be nice. It's been nice the last couple days. It's supposed to be nice through Friday, and then supposed to drop back down in the 30s on Friday and kind of stay in that area. But again, it's damn near Thanksgiving before I seen highs below 30, below freezing. So, I still think here that guys will have plenty of chance to fish. Now your river there, how does it freeze or is it stay
Uh,
open?
it will freeze. A lot of times it takes till, you know, it all depends on temperature, but sometimes it takes till January or even later January to freeze, especially the top section by the dam. The lower section, when it gets closer to Wassa, that starts chunking up and it freezes relatively not quick, but that's going to be the first stuff to freeze.
Mm-hmm.
It all depends on time. 2 years ago, I was walleye fishing all the way until New Year's weekend.
Wow.
You know, first time in my life that I ran up river and there was Christmas lights on people's houses. I've never been out there that late. So
Yeah.
not to break away from the musky side of it, but
sure. Have you ever got to musky fish like in December or anything like that?
not so much up here. No,
Mm-hmm.
she's pretty, and a lot. The landing really starts freezing up, and it's hard to get out. And
yeah,
for me, I'm done. I'm rifle season. I start rolling the rifle season, muzzleloader,
mm-hmm.
and then I go into hibernation.
I get it. I definitely I get that. But well, let's talk about some of the things you do there on the river. When you're fishing, some of your more maybe better tactics or something. You sent me some pictures of some different stuff. I'm assuming topwater is a big part of what you're doing out there.
Yep.
You sent me this one here of let's bring this one, and then there we go, of like a fat bastard here. What's some stuff that you do?
Yeah, it's just a fat bastard. I like to upsize the hooks a little bit on the front. Puts a little more weight on the bait. And it runs a little lower in the water. And each guy's got their own preference of what they're listening, what they're trying to hear when, trying to get that bait to do when you're running through the water. You know as well as I do, you always get those sweet baits, but
mm-hmm.
I never, it doesn't matter what topwater I buy. There's always tweaking, there's not a topwater in my box that runs the same. And
mm-hmm.
and I rely pretty heavy on topwaters because they eat them a lot on the river, so it's a great tactic.
And so like how deep is those rivers that you're? I mean, like how deep of water are you fishing most?
I'm fishing 3-4 feet of water.
Okay.
Yep. And I don't. What the interesting thing is, a bigger profile like that. The only time I can get them to eat a bigger profile on a louder topwater is like a fat bastard. Is when them fish are either A, juiced up, or B, I got high water, or C, you slow run them in the fall.
Okay.
Yeah. Otherwise, they kind of stick. I kind of stick with the smaller stuff, Dr. Evil's, topper stoppers, stuff like that.
How fast are you running these things? I mean, are you looking? And I'm sure it depends on the time of year, but do you, for the most part, are you looking for a deeper plop or like a real fast?
I'm looking
rotation?
on that fat bastard. I run a little deeper plop. When we jump into the next picture, like a Dr. Evil, I'll run those. And it kind of depends on the year, like in the spring, I'll run a little deeper plop on the water temperatures are a little cooler. I'll run a slower tail on a Dr. Evil. And then I'll, when it starts warming up and stuff like that, I like to run a little faster tail, a little less deep throat, more,
Yeah.
And we're running our baits are running relatively faster,
Yeah. Is that because of the current or just to speed things up? What do you think?
It seems like those fish really like that. They like the speed.
Okay. That one there, what kind of hook is that you put on there? The bigger hook?
If I remember, that's a 6-aught Mustad, I think.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So you're really up on that thing and keeping it. Have you ever had a problem with them, like on an end of a cast, wanting to dive on you? Do you need to keep the rod tip up or something?
Not so much. Maybe you got to taper up a little bit. Not so much on the fat bastard, but on the Dr. Evils. And I'll lighten it up. I should have threw that in there, but I'll run just a plain steel leader. So especially on that Dr. Evil, I try to lighten it up as much as possible. I'll make a 4 or 5 inch leader on it, just steel, and keeping it light.
Yeah, I've went to a lot of 6-inch leaders and just connecting straight with a split ring.
Yep.
to lighten up a lot of to a lot of things, but with surface baits especially. I found that not only makes it easy for the surface bait to work better, also makes it easier on the client to be able to get the bait started, and
Oh, right. Yeah.
I think gets everything going in the right direction for us. But this up here now, I got one of those Doctor's Evils up, look like the Blackbird pattern, which is probably my favorite pattern
Yep.
in any topwater bait. These baits, it looks like you've upped that hook size again as well.
Yep.
The great thing about like the Dr. Evils and the any of the Lake X topwaters is they last forever. You can beat the living dog shit out of them and stuff. But other things here that you sent me this picture here of like the nose of the bait, and it looks like the nose is kicked to the one side.
Yeah, so I do that just because then I want to get more speed out of it, but I still kind of want to keep that little bit of a deeper throat to it. That keeps that bait from turning.
Oh, okay. That's how you're basically
I'm counteracting. You're counteracting that tail because you're grabbing so much water with it. I'll turn that whole, because a lot of guys will look at that and realize that's supposed to be like that, and that's the way I run them. Not every one of them, but
no, that's interesting. Let's go here to you. Can you hold that one up? Can you hold one up there and kind of show?
Yeah. So if you look at it, so your prop's obviously spinning one way, so you're I tweak it over to that side, especially if you get a lot of roll out of them. Even sometimes you get a stock topwater, whether it be a top raider or so on and so forth. You can get those baits to run true. Tweak it a little bit, what's interesting about it is it actually kind of comes in at it like it's I don't know, what do you want to call it, dog walking or whatever. It kind of kicks off to the side and runs in like that. And any topwater you buy, never keep it. I guess I don't. I never keep them stock. I like to tweak them. I'm looking for a certain sound that I want out of them. You can obviously bend the tails, tweak the tails. You can get a little more cut here if you want. So,
yeah. So by bending it over like that, how do you bend it over the same direction on every one of them?
Yeah, because you have to, because you got to get that. If you go the other way, you're going to create more roll because you're trying to counteract what that prop's doing when it's grabbing. So every time that prop comes down, it grabs. So you're counteracting by tweaking that nose over like I have it. So.
Okay. Well, I've actually, and I thank you for this. I learned something there because I had always just screwed with the tail in the back, like opened it up a little bit so it didn't catch as much water, and that helped with the roll.
Yep.
But by tweaking that nose like that, I never even thought of that. That's awesome. Now I got something to play with myself instead of just cussing them.
Yeah. Well, and there's nothing worse than a topwater that rolls,
Yes.
Because obviously what happens when that rolls up like that, where's that hook rolling, especially when them guys come into a figure eight, that rolls up like that. And, they come up in T-bone like that. All he's getting is a mouth of plastic. He's not getting any hooks.
Yeah, it always frustrated me when I would get one and it would start rolling over and everything. Now this dude here looks like it has actually went through hell.
Yeah.
What's the deal with this little dude?
So the Blackbird one, I basically have running a little deeper throat. This guy, he looks like he's beat the crap, but I can't even tell you how many fish this thing's caught. But this has actually got a faster tail on it.
What makes it a faster tail?
So I'll tweak it. I'll actually spin that. Actually tweak it back like that a little bit. So it's not grabbing as much water, and you can see that tail's a lot faster when it's running through the water.
Yeah.
So, and then you can get to an extreme where if you want to throw an extra split ring on it, this one will tick a little bit. You can drop that extra split ring on there and you can make them tick. My fish do not like that tick at all. I don't know why. So none of mine really tick that much. This one will touch a little bit. You know, you can see where that hook comes up like that. She'll grab every once in a while.
How big a hook is that you're putting on that dude?
I think that is I think that's a 5/0 VMC is what that one's on there.
All right, so you've upped it, and VMC is typically a thicker shank too, so they got a little more weight there.
Yep. And I didn't send you, and I didn't send you a picture. This is just a standard. I don't. A lot of guys, younger guys, probably don't even know what this is, but this is just a standard topper stopper. I've caught more big fish on these little topper stoppers. And then that's another thing too. I don't know, Greg, if you can see that, but like these little blades right here, you can take pliers and kick them out. Kick them in a little bit. You can get a little more noise out of them, a little more. So. There's always something you can do with a topwater. I guess that's what I'm getting at.
Yeah, no, they those toppers like that. I've seen a lot of guys over the years fish those toppers, and I've got a guy I'm actually going to have on here in a little while in the next couple of weeks called Iggy Baits. Have you seen those?
Yep. Yeah, I've seen them.
Yeah, I didn't know. Is that something? Have you tried those at all? Or
I have not tried them. No.
Okay, but I mean, it's a cool little topper, pretty heavy duty and stuff that does that. And I mean, they're very, very subtle, but they do catch some nice fish.
Yeah, and some days that's there's times where they won't eat that topper stopper or anything with a prop bait, and that's where I switch over to little topper stoppers. I mean, I'm 49 years old. I've been throwing these things since I can remember. They always got a lot of big fish on them. So
now, how are you working those? Are you just straight retrieve, fast, stop and go, or?
Yeah, so like these topper stoppers, these little baits like this. This is a great June, July, August. Warm. Water's warmed up. They want it fast. And that's basically all I'm doing, just burning them. Not like they're flying out of the water, but you're moving them pretty quick.
Okay. What with your topwaters, you fish them a lot. Guys ask me all the time, what's your opinion? Do you take it under the water on a figure eight or leave it on top?
I take it under that first corner.
Okay. Yeah. Do you get a lot of figure eight fish on topwater there in those rivers?
Yeah, we do. And that's what I tell the guys, that you take it under that first corner coming back up. That's 9 times out of 10. That's where you're going to get pinned.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's cool. I always like to get other people's opinions on those.
I guess I think it's natural. You take a little duck or something like that swim, it's trying to get away or something like that. Comes, they dive like the little mergangers. I got a ton of little mergangers on the river, the little hooded ones, especially in June and stuff. They're all over the river, and you'll see them. When they first hatch out, they got 11. By late mid-June, they got. They're lucky if they got 6 left. But if you ever watch those little ducks dive, they dive down and they take off, and then they quick pop up. So I don't know. I guess I don't know if I'm reading too much into it or what, but that's kind of what I do.
Yeah, no, that's good. Hey, if it works, it works.
Right.
And then you sent me this guy here. Picture here of looks like one of the shallow swimming dogs.
Yep. Yeah. So basically, the only thing I'm really doing with that there, I mean, there's nothing really crazy about that. What I do upsize, I started running BKKs on a lot of my out of my glide baits. I run BKKs on these. And the only thing I'm doing there is, you buy that little magnet from, Muskie Innovations. And then I'll actually, if you look on the back hook, I'll shrink tube that because these are oversized hooks. Throw that on there. They will tangle up every once in a while. So this one kind of fell down already, but I'll shrink tube that all the way back up into there. So that back hook kicks like that and stays like that. So you don't have a problem with these two hooks. These two hooks tangle down. So
sure. What size do you up them to?
These are 3-aught BKKs.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, I've been using a lot of the BKKs this year as well, and they're sharp.
They're sharp and they're light. I ran them last year. Partial of the year, I started throwing them on all my glide baits, and they're just, if you can, like my go-to hook years ago for a lot of years was a short shank VMC 4-aught. I ran those on my sucker rigs. I ran them on my glide baits. But if you were to take this 3-aught, which is the same size as that VMC 4-aught, and you were to take that and put one in one hand and then that BKK hook in the other hand, as a man, you can actually physically feel the difference of that.
Mm-hmm.
So
and they're just so sharp,
sharp
and they
and
stay
strong.
sharp. Yeah. And that I love a thin shanked hook if it's strong, because you can just really get those to penetrate really well. Some hooks, especially some of the real heavy, thick shanked hooks, they're hard to get in a fish.
Right. Yep.
And
I agree with
you. They provide weight, but they don't provide. They're just harder to get through the fish's mouth.
Yeah, hard to get the penetration in there.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I get that. You sent me a sucker rig here. Is this one that you make?
Yeah, so I sent you that. And those are, I started running them this year. So I just run a lift-off rig. I don't know if you can see it, but there's a little Aberdeen hook on there. Rubber band, obviously, and I run balloons,
Okay.
Because it's, it's fest stuff, but
yes.
No, I'm running, basically I'm in, 3-4 feet of water. I don't need I don't need anything that's major.
Yeah. It looks like here you're out, and I'm showing a video here for the guys.
Oh, okay.
That you can see it's a fish that you got working. You can actually see the balloon. When you're sucker fishing here, how you're probably not running? Are you running any weight at all on these suckers?
I run. Here's my lead rig. I don't know if you can see that.
Mm-hmm.
I throw that bead on there, but I just run light. I don't run any weight whatsoever. And what's interesting is I used to run. It's another sucker rig. I used to run blades. So like when I come through shallow spots, I actually get those blades kicking, and I actually lift those suckers up, and I can pull them through there without getting snagged up.
Sure.
But I don't know. It kind of seemed that they got onto my game a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So I went away from blades this year, and I just went to a basic light rig. It's just, what is this, 90 pound, just something simple, light. Even my rigs are small. I just run that standard owner's ring in the front of it, for my lead hookup. And this is what I did this year too, is I switched over to these 2-aught BKKs.
Yeah.
And, and that goes back to where I was talking about. If I can physically feel the difference on it, can you imagine what the difference on that sucker, as far as the weight on that sucker feels?
Sure.
Just a little food for thought.
I agree. Sucker rigs that I use that Stealth makes for me, I got very little hardware on there. I don't like. Yeah. I don't like any bunch of hardware. I think the lighter the better. Now in this video here that we were watching.
Oh, I forgot. We were watching a video.
This is a pretty nice. It's we're kind of going through the front here. You do what I do. It looks like you're getting the boat in position, trying to chase it down a little bit, and probably looking to get the fish to run away from you.
So the nice things about rivers, obviously, we know which way they're facing all the time. They're always facing upstream, and like this guy's an unexperienced. He hasn't done it a whole lot, so I'm kind of getting him set up here. And if you can kind of see, and he's an older gentleman, so I don't want him to fall out of the boat.
I know that feeling. Yes.
Which happened first time this year. But I got him loaded up. That fish is a little ways away from us, and I always turn the front of the boat downstream because I want him. Yeah. I don't want to deal with the trolling motor.
Yeah.
So.
No, that looks. He got a good hook set there on it, and it looks like you sent me a picture here. It's a really nice tiger.
Yeah. Yep.
I mean,
42 and a half or 43-inch tiger, somewhere around there.
That is a beautiful tiger muskie, and I really like the ball cap over the wool cap.
That's a
Look
lawyer look.
that definitely he's getting ready to go to trial.
Yeah.
But do you get a lot of tigers in that river?
We get a handful of them. I think I've only got 3 this year, a 38, a 40, and that one. But
Nice.
I got a buddy also, that guy just, and he's got a couple different tigers that I didn't catch. So when I was a kid, we had more tigers. Now in the last 5-6 years, we're catching a few more tigers than what we were.
Okay.
That's all natural. Yep.
Yeah, those are beautiful, beautiful fish. You also sent me another one here of a sucker thing. You can see the fish running upriver there. And, the balloon does a great job, I know. What kind of reel is that you're using?
That's an old 7,000 big games.
7,000.
Remember those?
Okay. Yeah, because I actually have. I got incredibly inebriated one night and was at a friend's house, and we ordered 10,000 abus. Don't ask me why, but on later in the day, or later in the week or month or whatever, all of a sudden I had this box show up. I didn't know what it was, and it was a 10,000 abu. And it's one. I thought that might have been one right there that you had, but 7,000. No, I had plenty of 7,000s.
Yeah, you remember that was back in them are old reels.
Yeah, but they still get it done. And if you're not fishing super deep water, it's not like you need line counters or anything like that.
No. Yeah, and you can run over with your truck and they'll still work. So.
Oh yeah. No, that's cool. What kind of rod is that you got him using?
That's Elk River. I'm an Elk River guy. That's their 8-foot trolling live bait rod.
Yeah, they do pretty good for you.
Yeah, I've been now probably the last 4 years. I've been running Elk Rivers. But this is my second year running those glass rods. They got a nice tip on them, which allows me to run that drag a little tighter. Because you know as well as I know that a lot of times, you can run them a little looser, but to get a hook set and, tell your client to put your thumb on the reel, to try to hold that, the drag from slipping during the hook set, that just doesn't go well. So I just crank them down tight and hope for the best, and let the rod give a little bit more of a flex,
No, exactly. No, I like that. And also too, prior to hook set, I liked how you gave it a little bit of slack and then hit it.
Trying to get it moving.
Yeah, and I think that helps break the rig free from the sucker, and I think it just helps a lot of things when you're dealing with the fish. Because with sucker fishing, the worst thing a guy could see is the fish fighting towards the boat and the sucker still in its mouth. Yes, it's probably not hooked.
Yeah, and what a lot of times I'll do too, I get a lot of kids, and I should have sent you a kid's video, but I've had a kid, the youngest kid I've had set the hook on a sucker rig is 5 years old.
Oh Jesus!
Yeah, so I'll actually turn that bow, I'll run that bow a little closer up to him, and then when I'm ready to go, I'll turn that trolling motor on like 6, and I run 112 pound thrust. And I'll bump that trolling motor up and I'll tell him to hit it, and I'll hold on to his back so he doesn't go flying in. And, it's been pretty successful over the years. So
sure. No, I totally get it. I've had to gun the motor a couple times with little kids to help them get a hook set. But no, those that's pretty cool. And like I said, I like the hook set there. It looked like you definitely got some little slack in the line, which does seem to help. How does in the rivers there, what is like your average size fish you run into?
A lot of 40s.
Okay.
I got a good I got a good population all the way from 30 inches to 4-footers. I don't get a ton of big 50 inches, 51s, 52s. It's just you pick up 45 or 46-inch muskie out there, and you grab them by the head, and their heads are gigantic. They're old fish. They don't get the length on it. I get a handful of 4-foot size fish each year, but I do have a good population like 45, 46s, 44s. So.
Nice. What's the biggest one you've been able to catch out there?
On that section, 49 3/4 was my biggest.
Oh, the dreaded 3/4. Look at that. Well, that's a great fish. What about some of the other waters that you fished? Have you been able to break some 50-inch numbers?
Oh, yeah. Some of the flowages and stuff, I got some 51s, 52s.
Nice.
Them are, obviously more hefty fish, and they're not fighting the current. They're not fighting the current their whole life.
No, I get it. On the flowages, are you using a lot of different baits?
I run a lot of the same stuff, then I'll start throwing a little more rubber off some of the weed edges. But even like your flowage weed edges, you're 5-6 feet of water. You're lucky if you got weeds after that, So
sure.
A lot of topwater stuff, a lot of bucktails, swimming dogs.
That's the one thing you didn't send me was any bucktail pictures. What do you like for bucktails?
The bucktails, I mix it up. So I run a lot of single 8s.
Okay.
And I'm always looking for different vibrations each year. I did really well on that 7 mimic this year, smaller bucktail. Got a little 7. And I caught some fish on a 9. Did pretty well on that. But I guess my go-to, I do a lot with a Boilermaker, a single 8 Boilermaker, the Pugsley. What's great about those baits is because I'm fishing such shallow water. A lot of my clients are a little older, so that transition when they're casting, where it hits the water, they're in a foot of water. Next thing you know, they're snagged up nonstop. So them are great baits for that. And what's interesting about any of those, those wood ticks, the Boilermakers, any of that stuff, if you look at that back hook on any of those bucktails, that thing is just going like this, constant vibration. It's just throwing a different vibration off. Pandemonium.
Yeah. I love and have done very, very well, especially this year. I really fell in love with the wood ticks up on Lake of the Woods. And those things did very, very well for me. And I love them for a lot of the reasons that you're saying. It's a great client bait because you can throw right up into stuff. You can throw up into shallow rocks. You can throw up into shallow weeds and still get that bait through there.
Right.
And the wood tick, I don't know what it was about that bait, but it was just a really, really good bait for us this summer. And I'd been hearing about them forever, but I just hadn't really gave them the time that I did this year. And it was really, really good.
Yeah. That's Northern and Pugsley. I think it's a Pugsley. That's a spanky version of it. It's plastic, but I think it's a Pugsley. The Boilermaker, any of that stuff. Them are great river baits. And it's the main reason that I went that route was because, I as a guide, you have to get guys on fish and get a bait moving and stuff. You're just looking for different alternatives to try to get, that bait moving right away, and to come through some of those current seams, The average guy can pick it up, throw it through there, average, a regular bucktail, not have a problem with it. But, so that's your end result. But what's nice about it is it opened up a whole different, bunch of fish to me because it's just that different vibration. And I think that's a lot had to do with it. It just got something different about it,
Yeah.
So every year I look for something different, try to find a little different vibrations,
What would you say is your best, some of your best months out there as far as consistency goes? I mean, I know all months can be good, and there's all kinds of things that you can do, but, is there any, like for me, I love September. I've always thought September is one of my favorite months, but, I like June to July, August. They can all be fish catching.
They can all be good, right?
Yeah.
I would say my best would be probably June. I do really well in June.
Sure.
But I also do really well in July, and it all depends how that weather, shakes out as far as water temps and stuff like that. But obviously, if October you got suckers. September I got a great. It's a real interesting thing. I got a really great toad bite in September. I throw a lot of toads up there too. I've had several days in September where I had 5, 6, 7 fish, and it's interesting that a lot of times. You're fishing shallow water with them, and they're all shallow toads. But the guys that make contact with the bottom bounce it back up. And what it is, there's sometimes where they just eat it like crazy.
Yeah. No, it's it's a thing I'm seeing now with my live bait fishing here is, most of my strikes are coming from fish that I'm getting to follow. And I'm pulling them out to deep water, but then I almost have to put that sucker right on bottom before they'll eat it. They won't dangling, they won't touch the thing. But if I get it right on the bottom, that just for some reason they come unglued on it. But they might follow it 30 minutes, 40 minutes, and then all of a sudden I get it on bottom out there and we're in the right spot, and she just whacks the hell out of it. So
I wonder what it is.
Don't ask me. I've never seen it. I've never really tried it until this year. So I don't know. Maybe it's always been like this and I just stumbled onto it. But yeah, that's been something. It definitely seems like when that sucker hits the bottom, it gets more active though.
Yeah.
It runs around, and I think that might be something to do with it instead of that just, lollipop look of it sometimes just hanging there trying not to make any moves so the fish doesn't eat them.
Right.
They're
naturally that's where they want to be, is on that bottom.
Yeah, I think that's something to it. But well, Brad, how can somebody get a hold of you if they want to go fishing with you?
Well, you can either I got my personal page, Brad Wirt on Facebook. I got a guide page, Brad's Guide Service on Facebook. You can email me. I don't have anybody even emails anymore, but brword@charter.net, or you can call or text me at 715-297-0977.
Well, all right. Well, I tell you what, Brad, I really appreciate you coming on here. It was nice to have a chat and talk about some of these ideas. Like I said, the topwater thing got me thinking now, and some things I could try. And I like it. And again, stay on here a little bit here with me, but I do appreciate you coming on. Okay.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Greg.